Trump taking control, showing who's the boss. He has run out of patience. We're going to get into the Iran stuff, but Trump has had enough. He's just calling it out. The Iranian leaders are scum. I think that's true. I named the title of the show one time, a few weeks back, the Iranian leaders are the dumbest people in the history of the planet because they won't take a deal. We're going to go into that. Okay, this is The Ordinary American. I'm your host, Paul Sarkis. We are an anti-leftist show, which means we're anti-democrat. Thank you for joining us. We're fighting the fight against the left. It's a spiritual battle. It is a physical, an emotional, a financial battle, a political battle, all fronts, all the time. I'm a little Heavy P today. If you've joined us before, Heavy P was a nickname I got from some of my siblings back when I was a little bit younger, because I'd get a little heavy. As you know, if you watched yesterday's episode, we had to put down the great white French bulldog, Lola, yesterday. So I'm still feeling the effects of that. And like a guy, sometimes my sadness comes out as anger and I'm angry. All right. This stuff with Iran, we're going to get into the Graham Platner stuff. There's a much different situation going on there than I think a lot of people are talking about. I hope we're going to get to Spencer Pratt. I said last week, we were watching the evolution of somebody. I showed you the book, the Education of Ronald Reagan, about his years at GE. He was an actor, and then he went to work for GE, and he spent years going through the factories and meeting the factory workers, spending weeks with them, and it changed him. We're seeing the similar thing happen with Spencer Pratt. We're going to go over that. We're going to go over a little bit of the Trump accounts. Okay, so first up, Trump is pissed. He's tired of it. We're going to play a clip here. We're going to probably do a little stop and start a little film review, but let's hear what he has to say.
To rebuild their radar, and they had about 60% built. Now they have to start all over again. Look, we're not attacking at the highest level. The highest level of the bridges, there, which we can knock down. I would say in one day we knock down every single bridge in Iran. There's not a thing they can do about it.
This is great Trump technique. He does two things in one sentence. We aren't really going after the bad stuff that would really hurt the economy, but we could take it out in any minute we want. They have no defenses. He goes back and forth, gives both sides. Why? Because he's doing carrots and sticks.
Their electric manufacturing facilities, right? Their electric plants where they make their electricity there. We have to, we'll take them out. I don't want to do that, but if we have to, we'll take them out. They have desalinization plants. We'll take them out if we have to. I hate to do that. That's probably the one I would like not to do least.
There were a lot of double negatives in there. He would prefer to not take out the desalinization plant because obviously water is very important. But see what he's saying? He's basically, if there's that great scene in Goodfellas when Jimmy Conway calls to see how it's going when Tommy is going to get made. And the guy says, there was nothing we could do, nothing. And it's because they killed him. This is what he's doing. He's saying, I don't want to, but I can. I'm going to take them out. I don't want to, double, triple negative of the desalinization plant, but I can.
We attacked Cargill last night. We
Big news.
A piece. I said, don't touch the oil because maybe we'll take over Cargill. We may take over Cargill. There's not a thing they can do about it. But I said, don't hit the pipes, just hit everything else. And they hit it. They may hit it again tonight. So, as for your question, normally I'm not that way. But they really deserve it because they're saying they want to make a deal, but they don't. They asked for a timeout. They wanted to go to the funeral of Khomeini. And I said, give it to them. And they start shooting missiles. I mean, it was a crazy thing. Now, we did kill him, so I guess you have to look at it that way. But the funeral took place, and they wanted to have a period of time. And they also asked that we not kill them. And we said, we're not going to kill you. They were worried we'd kill them during the funeral. I mean, if you can believe it, what a crazy... Did you ever think I'd be doing this for a living? Marco, did anybody ever think I'm doing? Maybe Pete, but this wasn't supposed to be for me. Pete loved this.
Okay, we're going to move to another video because there's another one. But to see how he does this, he knows he's in a position of strength. Okay, there's in one of the things I learned in my business life was you can be strong at two times. When you're really strong and you have hold all the cards, as Trump would say. The other time you're strong is sometimes when you have nothing to lose. They, the Iranians, are beyond nothing to lose because they're dead. Okay? So Trump holds all the cards, carrots and sticks. Who else is he talking to? He knows his audience. He's talking to the rest of the GCC, all of the other countries there, who he has a great relationship with, who do not want us there controlling the oil. Understandably, Trump doesn't want us there. But what Trump is saying is, I might have to. Trump is saying, I don't want to take out the desalinization plant, but I might have to. I don't want to take out the oil. Maybe I'll come over and take the oil for us, but I don't want to. He's been, in my opinion, unbelievably patient with this. I've shared before the great Ned from the Middle East, a good friend, great contact. I'm a nobody, but I got somebody that I know from my youth who happens to live and work over there for his entire adult life, and he gets his great information from the ground. And one of the things he said from the beginning is more or less, there's only two ways. You're either going to get used and lied to, or you're going to kill him. There's no other way. And he says in this next clip we're going to play, he talks about how they say they want to make a deal, and then they go out and tell the press we don't have a deal when we just had a deal. And he's saying, I don't know how to do this. And he's tired of it. So let me play this next piece because I think it's kind of interesting. And I want to show the greatness of Trump. We don't get this from other leaders. There's just no, can you imagine when Obama was in the lies and the nonsense, or Biden or any, it's just ridiculous. Let's listen to this.
It's a very interesting question. To me, I think it's over. I don't want to deal with them anymore. They're scum. You know what scum is? They're scum. They're sick people. They're led by sick people. And they're vicious, violent people. And if they had a nuclear weapon, they'd use it. As far as I'm concerned, it's over. I'll speak to our negotiators. They want to negotiate. They're good people. Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner. But they have to come back to me. As far as I'm concerned, it's just a waste of time dealing with them. They're liars. We make a deal. And if I make a deal with him, we have a deal. Then he goes out, he talks. We make a deal. Everyone's agreed. No nuclear weapon. We make a deal. They go outside, talk to the press. They say, we never even talked about it. There's something wrong with them. They're cuckoo.
The great Ned. They're liars. Trump is getting it. What else is he doing there? This is a masterclass in negotiation. He is setting his people up. He is saying, they got to come to me. You can talk to my great people. Some people look at that and say, well, that takes away their authority. No, not in this case. This gives them authority. Why? Good guy, bad guy. Trump is now saying they're scum. They're done. I don't want to deal with them. It's over. In other words, I'm going to bomb them into bone dust. So now Witkoff and Kushner are going back over there or talking to their intermediaries and saying, guys, just watch the clip, bro. Okay? He's unleashed. He's off the reservation. He's doing his own thing. So now it's likely that those Iranian liars that they are coming back to Witkoff and Kushner and said, wait. And I think what you're going to see is, probably way more bombing and way more killing of these people at the top. We'll see. This is a terrible situation. The world does not need to be filled with this. Trump did the world a service. He took out their nuclear weapons. Look at the behavior of these people. The behavior of these people show everything that he has said is true. If they had a nuclear weapon, they would have used it. If they would have had a nuclear weapon, they would hold the world hostage. And as we played the clip of MBS, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, he said, I'm not going to say whether we have one or not, but if the Iranians got one, we would have had to get one too. See how that escalates? And then you get other people that have them, and then they're moving around and other people can get them. Trump is trying to take it out, and he did. So today, they have no nuclear weapons. So now what are they doing? They're being retards. They should do a deal, or they should have already done a deal. Now they probably can't, where they could have gotten a bunch of billions of dollars, gone to France or gone some other place and just lived out their life like Assad is doing right now. We've been over that. But no, they're not doing that. So Trump is pissed. Let me just play a little bit more of this and then we're going to move on.
As far as I'm concerned, it's over.
So are we definitely talks won't resume after we get through the funeral proceedings?
What?
Does this mean that talks with Iran will not resume?
I don't care. They can talk, but I think they're wasting their time. They're a bunch of lying guys. I do my whole life. That's all I do is deals. My whole life that's how I became president. I guess that's a deal too, right? But I made a lot of money. I had a lot of great success, tremendous success. Everything I did, I was successful. And I deal with these guys, and I say, this is from a different school. They're liars. They're cheats. They're sick people. They've hurt their people. They killed 54,000 people as of now that were protesting. You know, when people say, how come they haven't taken over? They can't take over because they're dead. They killed them. Nobody's going to take over. They have no guns, and the other side has machine guns. And they're killing them. The press doesn't report it. But they're bad people.
What is implied in there, and that's critically important for all of us over here to understand, because I have this point of view too. I sometimes think, hey, why, where's their evolution? They're killed. So the Iranian regime, these idiot IRGC people, extremists who control stuff, the gay, legless Ayatollah, if he's still alive, okay, they are brutal killers, like all leftists. All leftists are killers, by the way. We've been over this. Why? Because there can't be any dissent, because leftism doesn't work. So you can't logic through it and say, hey, if we give a Trump account, you're going to be able to use compounding, and over time the money will reach this. It doesn't work that way, because what they say doesn't make sense. We're going to take you over and you're going to like it better. But what about my freedom? Kill you. Okay? So what he's saying is the Iranians know who the people are that are most likely to lead the revolution against the regime. They've been taking them out. So it's like if you took out the if the Brits could have taken out Washington, Jefferson, the founding fathers, all at the, Hancock, Adams, if they could have taken out all of those guys, were there another set of guys with that kind of male anatomy, with that kind of bravery, our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor? Probably not. We needed those leaders. Iran has taken out those leaders over there. So it takes time. So it's not so easy. And they don't have guns. Big deal. The left likes to pretend that like it's all for hunting. We love to hunt, and hunting's great. But that's not what guns are for. Guns are to protect us against the government. And now you see why. Okay, Trump has lost his patience. As far as I'm concerned, he says, it's over. He's setting up Witkoff and Kushner to go over and hopefully make a better deal. But as he says, he's got all the cards. He's just going to kill them. He's just going to keep on bombing and taking away and shrinking their world down smaller and smaller and smaller. And we'll see what's happening. Oil prices went up. Gas prices are going up. It's very frustrating. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay, we're going to move on. This situation in Maine with this Nazi tattoo guy, with the doing gross things in the public restrooms, which he admits to, and whatever sexual impropriety he's had, he's innocent until proven guilty, but people have come out and accused him. I'm not going to focus on that stuff. I'm going to focus more on the political and the Democrats and how it relates to, just a few days ago, the title of one of our shows, The Democrats Eat Their Own. Then we were talking about Mussolini, which we'll tie in. Now, look at this, okay? The first thing I want to put up here, where is it? Where is it? Okay, so right now, what you have is you have a situation where everybody on the Democrat side knew, everyone knew about this guy Platner. Everybody knew about the tattoo. Heck, we knew. If we knew, you're telling me that these people didn't know? Of course they knew. Who am I? I'm in a room with a great flag. I love my God, my family, and my country. I'm an ordinary American. I was reading about it on X, and we're supposed to believe that these guys didn't know? They knew. It's like everything else with the left. It's all a charade. Why was it a charade? They didn't like the other people who were running in the primary. Well, what do you mean? What do I mean? What do I mean? They didn't think the other one, Mills or whatever her name was, could win. They thought this guy could win. Let's take a slight detour and say, straight white guy. Straight white guy in the party that tells us diversity is our strength and all that other hogwash. Okay? Chose him over a woman. That's because at the time, they thought he could win. Let's notice some patterns now. Okay, now look at this headline. Graham Platner holding Dem party hostage, refusing to drop out unless he gets to name successor. Okay, what is this about? This has multiple layers. Multiple layers. One layer is that this is likely Bernie Sanders, who was a big supporter of this guy, trying to work through with him to get this guy out. What do I mean? All right, let's go back one notch here. Two important things to know. The Democrats don't care about the voters. They have zero interest. We've been through it. Kamala Harris won 0 votes in the primary in 2024, 0. And she still wound up as the nominee. In 2020, Bernie was going to win in 2020 until the Democrats came in and put their fingers on the scale with Clyburn and others and got Biden in. In 2016, Bernie did win, okay? But what they do with Debbie Wasserman Schultz and others, they bribed Bernie probably, and he bows out and they corrupt that primary. There hasn't been a legitimate primary in a very long time. The Democrats don't care. That's one. What's the second thing? Okay, and this is critical. The rules in Maine say that there's 3 ways that somebody who wins the primary essentially can be replaced. Okay, I think that's the best way to say it. 1 is they have to die. 2 is they have to have a critical, what do they call it? A catastrophic injury or illness or something. And then the 3rd is they have to resign by this Monday. If he resigns on his own by this Monday, the party can pick whoever they want. Sound familiar? Remember 2024 with Kamala? Okay. This thing is starting to look like a pattern. The Democrats don't care and they can't hide it. They don't care and they cannot hide it. Where is this? This is what I want to put up. Margot Cleveland, as usual. I don't know her. Who am I? She doesn't know me. I just read a lot, okay? I'm just a guy who reads a lot and who wants to understand things. Margot Cleveland explains a lot of things for me. So let's read what she has to say. And then we're going to get into this. Conspiracy theory? Flow with this for a second. Maybe, but hear me out. If Dem establishment and handmaids in media had dropped nuke on Platner before primary, what she's saying there is they knew all this. They could have used this in the primary to get him out. Instead, they circled the wagons and said, what was it? Pocahontas said, he's my kind of man. I guess she likes Nazi, accused rapists. I don't know. Bernie Sanders, all in. I'm not exercised by the Nazi tattoo. There's bigger issues than being a Nazi. Okay, they went all in. She's saying they could have taken him out before. Go back to my show, Democrats eat their own. They could have, they did not, because at the time they thought they had a chance to win with him. See what she says? They could have dropped nuke on Platner before primary. Janet Mills was only alternative nominee, but polls showed Mills was not doing well versus Collins. At the time, the Democrats thought Mills couldn't beat Collins and Platner had the best chance to beat her. Okay? So establishment sat on info until now. So they can pick the nominee who is neither Platner nor Mills. Same with Biden, wanted neither Biden nor Kamala, but Jill decided to go on revenge and had Joe endorse Kamala. All right? So what are we saying here? This is total and utter brutal corruption. The Democrats are nothing but a corrupt organization. That was the title of a show a month or so ago. The Democrats are a corrupt criminal organization. So let's review. They didn't have, or they couldn't put up, or they didn't pay attention enough to the primary. So they had 2 choices, Platner and Mills. Mills, they had internal polling that said couldn't beat Collins. Platner, they thought could. So they excuse away. He's the best man. I love him. He's the greatest. Oh, don't worry about the Nazi tattoo. Don't look at that. Oh, there's a woman who accused him of rape, but she's a conservative person, so we'll discount her to 0. Don't look over there. There's a later woman, which was they knew about because it was in the New York Times article. Go read it if you want. It's not the purpose of this. The purpose is to say the Democrats always need compromising material on everybody who runs or who's in office so they can get rid of them when they want. We showed you what's happening with Mussolini. We're going to tie him in a second. Platner, they needed something on, so they knew they could get him. What are they doing now? They're trying to get him. What's he doing? He's negotiating. Only I don't think he's negotiating to name a successor. Bernie might want that, but my bet is what he wants is money. My bet is what he wants is money or a position or something. So he's probably holding out saying, I'm not going to get out. Bernie's already out talking about this other person from Maine, Troy, something, I can't remember, that they want in. This is the pattern. The Democrats don't care about you voters. I hope all you people who've been voting Democrat, I watch these guys like Chamath and these other fancy, wealthy tech bros who have been supporting the Democrats for decades in some cases. What's his name? I'll remember in a second from the hedge fund. I'll remember in a second. From New York. He supported Democrats for decades. And now they're all waking up and saying, oops, okay? They hated you then. You were a retard then. You might have been rich, but you were either weak of personality or you were stupid. You supported this party that was going this way. Heck, Ronald Reagan knew this party was going this way in the 60s. If you go back and look at JFK, JFK couldn't be nominated in a primary for dog catcher in Dorchester. Couldn't do it. Even Obama, I talk about all the time. He was a pro-marriage is between a man and a woman candidate in 2008. He couldn't get the time of day in the Democrat Party today with that platform. They don't care about what the voters say. They corrupted the primaries along the way. They figured out, oh, we can get Kamala in. We didn't even have to run her in the primary. What do they figure here? Just what Margot Cleveland said. We don't have to worry about Mills. We're going to launch our attack on Platner in time to destroy him, so he'll resign and we'll put in whoever we want. And by the way, the party power people don't care about paying him. They don't care. It's not their money. They're going to get some idiot like Reid Hoffman or some other buffoon supporting these Democrats looking for power. Maybe it's Soros to pay him. That's just a guess. Who am I? We'll find out. Okay? But it would be awesome to see him not resign his run, not withdraw. That would be awesome. Because then after Monday, it's death or catastrophic illness or disease or something. I forget the language. This is the modern Democrat Party. If you've been voting Democrat, you've been tricked. They lied to you. Unless you are a hardcore leftist. But if you're a Black American and you've been voting for these Democrats in your inner city neighborhoods for all these decades, you've been lied to. They tricked you and they ruined your neighborhoods and they ruined your schools. Okay, that's real racism. How to make sure the Black American can't compete? Make sure their schools suck and they can't get a real education, so they can't read, write, or do math at grade level. Then what's going to happen? Well, they'll need government. This leads to the next point I want to make on this. If you're a Jewish American and you've been voting for Obama or Democrats, they funded Iran. They funded everything that's been trying to take down the Israeli people and the Jewish people. You voted for it. Now, you don't have to continue. It's like the Black population now is starting to vote. I think Trump got 20-something 4%, more heavily on the male side than the female side, I believe. But waking up. You can fix your schools in Black neighborhoods and in any neighborhood in less than a couple of years. Get rid of the teachers' unions. Stop sending money to the industrial school complex and send it right to the parents. Bam. And we're going to tie that into the Trump accounts here in a second. Okay? The Democrat Party is corrupted. They hate you. They do not care about the voter. All they care about is power. James Carville said it. Power is the only moral imperative. Why? Because it's the only way to have anything to implement any policy. And the left can't win on policy because they can't say, this is the final point here, they can't say, hey, what we really want is we want to create suffering and chaos and ultimately death, because the only way we can seriously control large populations is if there's a state of chaos and a state of suffering. So you can't collect yourself and organize against us. So you can't collect yourself and earn a real living. So you have no way to keep your health. So you have no connection to God. So you have no connection to your fellow citizens. You rely totally on us. Everything for, by, and in the state. That is leftism. So when everybody wants to call, by the way, if you're one of these total buffoons, absolute idiots who thinks that Trump is a fascist, fascism has a couple of characteristics that are very important to know. One is there is no dissent. There can be no dissent. Trump has the Supreme Court ruling against him in the most obvious case of idiocy in the world, birthright citizenship, which we aren't going to go into in detail today, but we've done it in the past and we'll probably do it in the future. Okay? He accepts it. He says on the camera, well, I guess I'll have to accept it and find another way. He left office after the 2020 election that was clearly corrupted. Clearly. He fought in court. He spent millions to fight in court. They tried to assassinate him, and he keeps coming back. Okay? He allows tons of dissent. Why? Because we're in America, and he loves America. Fascism requires no dissent. What would that look like? Oh, I know. It would look like California. No dissent. That's what it looks like. And they can't run saying we want no dissent. We don't want two parties. We want one party, our party. We're going to compromise every candidate that gets in the race so that we always know we can remove you by destroying your life. Eric Swalwell, Bob Menendez, Mussolini right now. We're seeing Platner, and there are plenty of others. We're not going to play that game. We're just going to go take total control. They can't run on that because nobody would be okay with it. No one's going to vote for that in America. At the very least, you look at Trump and you say, he fights. Why? Because there's dissent. But if you're voting for Democrats, as I always say, you're voting to break yourself into jail. And you're breaking other people into jail. I bring up Black Americans and Jewish Americans because those are two very plain and obvious examples of places where you're directly responsible for destroying your neighborhoods, your communities, and your culture. There's no way around it. If you voted for Obama, you were voting for the destruction of Israel. Thank goodness for Trump. If you're a Black man and you voted for Democrats in these inner cities, you were voting to have your schools destroyed and crime run rampant in your neighborhoods. We're now seeing in DC that crime is a choice. You do not have to have that kind of crime in your neighborhood. We say this a lot. I'm going to say it again today. There's very few people who commit the majority of violent crimes. And of those very few people, law enforcement know who most of them are. Not all, but they know who most of them are and they know the pipeline. In the old days, a cop walked the beat. You remember that? Why? So they got to know what's up. Oh, that's unusual. That's not usually happening in our neighborhood. I'll go check it out. Stops a crime. Law enforcement largely knows this. They know who the violent criminals are. You just have to remove them from the streets. Okay, if you're voting for Democrats, they're putting them on the street. Okay, it's an organized crime endeavor, the Democrat Party. And this Graham Platner is a great example. They want him out. They know they can compromise him. Let's see. I would encourage him to stay in. I think, in the restructuring of bonds world, I learned years ago the phrase, the holdouts always get the best deal. Now it's scary because you can't no, because you're not God. But back when the Drexel Burnham junk bonds were being restructured into the 90s and later, the holdouts would most often get the best deal. Graham Platner, hold out. Somebody send him this, hold out. You will find at an hour before, there will be somebody who will come through and pay you. There will be some donor. The Democrats are desperate for power. Okay, we're going to move on and talk just in a small piece because it relates to the Senate. Why do they want power? Because they want to get rid of the filibuster. And then they want to do a whole bunch of things. I just wanted to do a little history. I love history. I talk about American history all the time. It's important. This is a little dry, but I'm only going to spend a few seconds on it, and I'm going to try to make it super spicy. Okay? If we went back to the way the Senate ran under the original founding fathers, right in the very beginning, it's a majority vote that stops discussion. That's it. 51. Like that. We move on. If we had that, things would be different. Now, I get it. We can point to lots of times where Republicans maybe have used these filibuster and other things to stop stuff. But right now, what we're looking at is the Democrats are going to get rid of the filibuster. Okay, it's all hands on deck. Trump is trying to get the Save America Act passed and other things. We should have 20 bills codifying all of these Trump policies. We don't. We went over this the other day because of Thune and McConnell weekend at Bernie's. Okay, this is why the Democrats want control of the Senate. This is why. Okay, the filibuster, cloture, all of this stuff, largely Democrat if you read the history, not entirely. And it was sort of some of it was before the Democrat Party is in its current incarnation. Okay, but this idea that you create more power for the Senate, more power. 1913, obviously, with the 17th Amendment goes in there too. Okay, this is why the Democrats want it. They want to take control. They're going for it. Why are they going for it? Because it is very difficult to come back from where they are in terms of policy. We're going to go here now to this Mussolini stuff. And I'm going to show you a little report on his crazy diaper plan, if you remember that. Okay, he had that crazy diaper plan. Now, the Democrats have a very hard time to walk back from this crazy leftist stuff. Way back in the day, I'm old enough to remember when the Democrats nominated guys like Dukakis and Mondale, etc., and they would go far left, and then they would come back with a Clinton. Okay, it is very hard to do that now with the Mondamis of the world. Okay, with the Mussolinis of the world. Let's listen to this. This is about that diaper stuff. This is single party rule.
40 million diapers, as many diapers will be distributed this year as Californians.
That was Governor Gavin Newsom about 2 months ago at a press conference announcing California's new free diaper program and a multi-million-dollar contract with the nonprofit Baby to Baby. But immediately critics pointed out that his wife, Jennifer Siebel Newsom, also had a relationship with at least one of the co-CEOs.
Sits on Jen's board of directors. Gavin Newsom is claiming there was this huge, rigorous process to figure out which group to partner with for this free diaper program. But was it really a rigorous process if you're best friends with the CEO of this company?
So we did a little fact check.
Obviously, it wasn't rigorous. Single party rule. This is a scam to get taxpayer money funneled through some nonprofit, pay a bunch of activists. Who knows where the money is going to go? They're doing this in the middle of JD and the fraud squad looking into these things. Why? They have to go for it now. They can't turn back and go to a Bill Clinton Blue Dog Democrat. They can't. It's too hard. You're going from, what's her name? Dara Lisa Avia Chevalier, from being in school for her entire adult life so far. And now she's a communist and she's going to, profess communism and take over New York. Mandami with his nonsense. All of a sudden, by the way, they're giving themselves raises. Big shocker. Okay, they can't walk this back. And just like in The Matrix, the great movie, the Matrix lost control of Mr. Smith, Agent Smith. They've lost control of these leftists.
And you should definitely go check out the story we did last month. But we can only go so far.
So far, the state will not give us a copy of the contract or...
I'm watching the clock. By the way, the end of this is they still don't have a copy of that contract. You're getting the runaround from all the departments. You got to go to this one. You got to go to this other one. No, we've got an extra 14 days. We've got 6 days. I don't have to give it to you over here. See if I can get to the end of it.
Public officials.
Now, the amended version of the bill does give agencies even more time to respond to your public records request. Assemblywoman Pacheco argues they need it.
Agencies across the state are experiencing a sharp increase in requests that are exceptionally broad.
Meanwhile, we're still waiting for that baby to...
Total nonsense. This is a great example. What do I always say to you guys? One of the great state senators from Massachusetts taught me a long time ago. If you get the votes, you can do anything you want. The Democrats have all the votes in California. The Democrats have all the votes in New York City. They get all the votes in Detroit. They get all the votes in Atlanta. They get all the votes in San Francisco. They get all the votes in these inner cities. They can do whatever they want, which means they're not accountable to you or me or anyone. And this is what we see. Okay? Total and complete corruption. Total and complete corruption. All right. We're going to move on. I wanted to do, let me see if I can find it here. Oh, I just heard my daughter is home. Okay. We're gonna jump over here to Spencer Pratt. You know, if you follow the show, that I like Spencer Pratt, not because I know him. I don't. I wasn't a guy that watched The Hills. I was a little after my time, but I knew of him a little bit back in the day. He is transforming in front of our eyes into one heck of a political candidate and operative. He ran an unbelievably great campaign, and I believe he won the primary for mayor in LA, but because of total corruption, he can't be there. Now, what has he done? I should put this up here. Okay. Our biggest weakness today is the lack of courage and leadership and culture. Everyone wants common sense, but everyone is too afraid to demand it. This gets back to the tech bros who have been building the Democrat Party up for 30, 40, 50 years. They wanted to be invited to the right parties. They didn't want to upset the apple cart. They needed something from somebody. They didn't have the courage of a Trump who went right into the belly of the beast in that escalator speech, which we've played a lot and done some film study on, brilliant speech, and said, here are the problems, and they won't solve them because they don't want to solve them. This is what he's saying. But everyone is too afraid to demand it. So today, we're launching the War Foundation. Together, we will win the war against political corruption with innovative new media. Advocate for transparency, accountability, integrity in government and culture. Restore common sense and roll back the long march of socialism through our vital institutions. The War Foundation is being created to fight where others won't. We will use the same innovative arsenal we use to capture the world's attention in our campaign: hard-hitting media, investigative research, educational campaigns, and strategic partnerships in government and media to push back on the communist rot. Shine a light on government failure, challenge the entrenched interests, and empower citizens with the truth. Above all, we will be bold, unapologetic, and fearless. Okay, now I want to play this. By the way, because we covered it. Actually, the best viewed show I think we ever had was the one that I titled Pratt for Mayor. Okay, because he was running a campaign where he was just like Trump. The great thing about Trump is nobody has to pretend. We don't have to pretend that the Iranians aren't liars. We don't have to pretend that we can blow them into smithereens. We're just going to do it. Okay? He says, I can't do a deal with these people. We don't have to pretend this anymore. Diplomatic channels, blah, 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 UN. No, none of that. None. Sovereign nations. Listen to this.
Spencer Pratt
isn't going anywhere. Releasing a now viral new campaign ad. That ad racking up more than 10 million views in just 24 hours.
That is one of the best political ads that I have ever seen.
That's one of the best political ads I've ever seen.
One of the best political ads of all time.
Now that the campaign portion of my mission to save Los Angeles is coming to a close, and I'm moving on to the next, more interesting phase, you have no idea how bad things are about to get for this city. More of your favorite restaurants will be shuttering. That means less tax revenue. That means the city has to cut services, more potholes, less firefighters, less police patrols, more criminals, more drug addicts terrorizing your communities.
I love that Spencer is just saying, look at what we can all see.
Look at this place already. Weeds growing from every crack and crevice. Graffiti over every square inch of public space.
We don't have to pretend. He's telling it like it is. We don't have to pretend. This is what's attractive about this. We're going to get to the foundation part of this in a second.
Drugs, species, burned up dogs, burned down towns, abandoned storefronts. This city is a mess, all while corrupt politicians and fraudulent NGOs profit off the misery and fleece us for the tax dollars. Well, now we're flipping the script. I didn't get in this for political power. I got in this to expose this corrupt machine, and nothing has changed. Every week, I'm going into the belly of the beast, bringing you hard-hitting cinematic documentaries exposing the fraud and corruption in California.
There was a body that they found yesterday. Someone is making money in City Hall on the distribution of the needles.
It's all illegal. Everything we're looking at is illegal. Talking to business owners, covering the issues the media doesn't want you to see, and breaking down complex issues into digestible content to educate and inspire people to make real change.
All you have to do is show people.
If you think we uncovered a lot of fraud and evil in the campaign, just wait. It's war.
Okay, what does he know that most people haven't figured out? He knows how to use media. Not the same, but similar to Trump. Trump was in a different era, but Trump got on a TV show. He built a TV show. He became, Trump was the most well-known person at the time that he ran for president of anyone who ever ran for president ever. He had more name recognition. I've been over this. I did a show a while ago. The most critically important thing when you run for president is name recognition. Why? Because it's a big country. People have lives. They don't all know some senator from wherever. Okay? Everybody knew him. So he didn't have to go around every state and say, okay, Mr. State Senator, be with me. Okay, Mr. Dog Catcher, get your neighborhood to be for me. That's how it works. And every person that goes on the list, now that person owes something. So now if you win, you go down with thousands of people you owe around the country. And you got to pay them back. How do you pay them back? With our tax dollars. That's how you pay them back. With our tax dollars. Trump didn't have to do that because he had a name and he used it. That's what this guy's doing. He's starting a foundation. Why is he starting a foundation? So he can raise money. Okay, so he can raise money. He can use it to make these documentaries or whatever he's going to say he's doing. Because this is what he was doing before when his house burned down. He was just basically going out and making videos, because you can do that now. Look at me. I just turned my camera on and I'm on. He just went out and started to find information and started to publish it. How does he publish it? By putting it online. This is why you hear the Democrats say we got to get rid of disinformation. It's not disinformation. They want information to be gone. Go back to the beginning of the show. No dissent, single party rule. That's what they need. If this guy does what he's saying, he's going to continue to be a major candidate, number one. And number two, he's going to make real change. And he might make way more change doing this than he ever could being mayor of LA. Because as Dan Bongino said in that little short piece, you now can show them. You now can show people what's really going on. That's why we have JD and the Fraud Squad finding all this fraud. Why? Because Nick Shirley, James O'Keefe, Spencer Pratt, Muckraker, they all went out and showed us. And there are others. I'm leaving some out. I don't remember their names. I apologize. There are other great people who have done it. They're showing us. We see they're paying people to sign petitions. They're paying people to register to vote. They showed it to us. You can only ignore that for so long. Not forever. Okay? This guy is a major force. That is a major force. Okay? That is going to play a critical role going forward. And I suspect he's not going to limit it to LA, but he might, if he still wants to be mayor, which I've said it before, being LA and New York are the super cities. Being a mayor of any other city in the country is great, and it's a stepping stone. Being mayor of LA and New York are two super cities. They're the only two super cities. And because they're so far left and so corrupted, if you can get in there and fix it, it is going to be a major benefit to the country. If LA ever got fixed, it would be a huge boost, or New York for that matter. If New York went back to what it was like under Giuliani, okay, be a major benefit. Don't know if he'll do it, but we're watching the evolution of this guy, and he's growing in his power, and watch what he does with this. He's a guy to watch. Okay, I'm watching the clock. We talked a little bit about the Trump accounts. I don't even think I have a post for this, but maybe I do. No, I don't. Okay, no big deal. I'm just gonna mention this. The Trump accounts. If you find yourself squeamish or angry, or you don't want to sign your child up for a Trump account, you have TDS. Go back and watch yesterday's program, The Antidote. Put on a MAGA hat, play this show over and over again. Okay? That's the cure for TDS. Facts. Just wake up and read facts. The Trump accounts are, it's a big deal for a lot of reasons, but it's a very big deal if you're playing the long game, which the left has been playing forever. Why? Because it is at the same time, it's the antidote to Social Security. Come back to that. It's the antidote to leftism and everything for the state, by the state, and in the state. Communism, socialism, fascism, it's all the same. It's the antidote to that. And it helps create more individual freedom and liberty. Now, it will take time because these people are just being born. So it's going to take 18, 20, 30, 40 years. Okay, but they're laying the framework and the foundation. The left can't have this. The left cannot have citizens helping citizens. The left builds this chaos that you see in LA and New York, this suffering, death, because they need it to be so bad that the only person or the only thing you can reach out to is government. They're the only ones with enough control and power to supposedly fix it, which they never do. They keep you in a state of suffering. They keep you in a state of awfulness. One of the things that eventually gets people to move out of leftism, Democrat voting, is that they do wake up and realize it's like a half-life. I never get to it. Or most of the great sitcoms, like the people never win. Okay, it's the funny is in the almost getting there. Okay, that's what happens with Democrat-run cities. You never sort of get there. The Democrats need this. Trump accounts are the antidote to that, or one of the antidotes. Why? One, we're taking our tax dollars and seeding these things with $1,000. Okay, that's a good idea. What's else? We're getting people like the great Michael Dell. We're getting others who are contributing to it, private citizens contributing to these accounts. Citizens helping each other. We don't need the government. And then compounding, these things will be in just index funds, S&P 500 or other index funds. And over 20, 30, 40 years, if more and more people put into it, and they will, we'll get hopefully a little competition where very wealthy people, like how about Mackenzie Bezos, spending $26 billion on leftist nonsense, suffering and death and chaos and hurting people. If she took that $26 billion and put it into the Trump accounts, that would change the world. Okay, that would change the world. And by the way, you could look at this. I don't see it this way, but you could look at this. You could look at that as universal basic income, which the left loves. Only it's not coming from tax dollars. So leaves plenty of tax dollars for other things. It's coming from private individual citizens. Oh, but the left doesn't like that. Why? Because they need you to be controlled by government. Single party rule. That's what they need. So the Trump accounts are an antidote to this. And it gets people invested. They're going to start to pay attention more to tax policy and other things. Okay, the last thing I want to say on this is these Trump accounts are amazing. Everybody should sign up for one if you can. And everybody should also look and say, let me start to get my child early on with even a small account. The rules are that they can put, I think a teenager can put as much as they earn in a IRA. If you can, do it. Maybe grandma and grandpa can contribute, maybe a cousin, okay? Do it. It gets them invested. It gives them something for the future. Now, biggest thing, the tax cuts. We are forced to pay taxes while we see the IRS hand out these tax exemption gifts to these nonprofits like they were candy to everyone. Zero checking. None. They totally just handed out to everyone, except maybe conservatives under Lois Lerner. Go look that up if you don't remember. We've done shows on that. Okay? So they just handed out. That's the first level of defense that they gave up, co-conspirators. Second, never audits them. A nonprofit being audited by the IRS is like finding the white buffalo. It is almost never happens. How do I know that? Look at all the nonprofits that have been stealing our money that were never audited. Who was audited? Show me. Where's the guy that they audited and found out was living in Serbia, taking hundreds of millions of our dollars? They didn't find any of that. JD and the Fraud Squad did, or Nick Shirley did, or James O'Keefe did, or now we're going to find out that Spencer Pratt will. Okay? So the IRS was a co-conspirator. They played the heavy, the protector. Stay away. Keep funneling that money in there. By the way, they're doing the same thing with teachers' unions. They could look into that. They would find violations. Of course they would. They don't. Okay? Why do I bring this up? Because it's now completely immoral and unjust for any citizen in America to be forced to pay federal taxes. Trillions a year have been stolen by the elected class. The very elected class that keeps the IRS running. They stole our money. Both sides. Now, both sides are not equal. We've been into this in the past. I'm not going to go into it today. It is not both sides are equal. But the elected class has allowed this to go on for decades. Trillions a year. 4.7 trillion, Doge found, heading out of the Treasury General account. Untraceable. Why? They didn't want to trace it. It is unjust and immoral. I think Trump is working on this. I don't know. I have no connections, but he's been doing things like no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, even though Congress limited it. By the way, why would Congress limit that? Taxing us is not so government can afford to spend on social programs. That's all a charade. Why? How do I know that? Because they print whatever they want anyways. If they just printed it, what do they need to collect our tax dollars for? Let us keep it. The amount of prosperity America would see if we kept 100% of our money at the federal level. The founding fathers said states can tax. Why? Because they're closer to the people, more accountable, not the federal government. No tax on income. That's the 16th Amendment. We've been over that. 1913, a terrible year. These Trump accounts are awesome. The next level up is that the legislature or Trump maybe can find a way to do it. I actually think that these nonprofits are a national security risk. We're seeing Soros use them, never gets audited. I think the IRS is a national security risk now, and I think it has been. All right, we'll do a whole show on that someday. There's so much going on. I did not check Trump's Truth Social before I got on, so I don't know what he said. And as I'm talking, I'm going to try to see if I can check it and see. I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but President Zelensky, something. No, okay. So it doesn't look like anything urgent. Heavy P. Okay, I'm still mourning Lola, putting down my dog, and I'm frustrated with this stuff. Thune is a traitor. He is. He has 84% public approval across all demographic groups, all political parties for the Save America Act, and he can't whip the vote. That's not happening. He chooses not to. Okay, and then Johnson, I'm not, whatever. He's out saying we're going to do this other thing where he creates an account which maybe leftist states can access if they want. No. We need the Save America Act. The elected class have been abusing us for far too long. Trump is the only advocate for ordinary Americans. All right. We're going to be back here tomorrow at, actually, you know what? Tomorrow we're going to do an early show, I believe. I'll put a link out on X. We're going to do an early show on X, The Ord American. Reach out to us. Email theordinaryamerican@proton.me. Give us comments. Tell us what you want to cover. Tell us if you think we didn't cover it right. If you're a lefty, fight back, man. You people are absolutely retarded if you're defending leftism. It does not work. It does not work, and it creates suffering. Look at California. All right. Thank you. We got to fight the left. We'll do a little Promethean action, I think, tomorrow. If I go too many days without putting them on, I start to get the sweats. Like, subscribe, and follow. We'll see you tomorrow. As the great Father Mike Schmidt says, I'm praying for you. Please pray for me.